It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Home Bargains. It's the Microbrew British Craft Beer Selection. That's the kind of name of the brand. And this is a Christmas pudding and vanilla custard stout coming in at 5.2% ABV in a 440 milliliter can. Some of you by now have already seen the thumbnail of the video. If you're wondering what that is all about, we reviewed a beer very recently from Home Bargains, which was quite completely, or quite definitely, the worst beer we've ever reviewed on the channel, and probably the worst beer ever brewed in mankind. It was that terrible. This is the other beer that has been brewed for Home Bargains. And of course, people commented on the first video. It was the Mango number 5 in Home Bargains. And a lot of people commented saying, if you thought that was bad, you need to taste the Christmas pudding and vanilla custard stout. So I'm slightly scared going into this, if I'm perfectly honest with you. 5.2% ABV. I'm going into it open-minded. I know there was a lot of comments saying, this is not great either, but I'm all for giving breweries, shops like Home Bargains a second chance. You've got it. I'm all for giving people a second chance in life. So, without further ado, let's get this beer out into a glass and see what we get. I paid about £1.30 for the can. Right, head is dissipating very quickly. Again, it's not a good sign. Did you hear that hiss and fizz? Now, if you remember the Mango number 5, that did exactly the same thing. The head dissipated very quickly. It's not a great sign. It's certainly not a great sign for a stout. You want your stout to be a little bit full-bodied. You would expect a little bit of oat in there maybe to give the beer a bit of body. And then when you start to add oats and, you know, a little bit of quality to your kind of brew, then you have great head retention, you have great head, you have great lacing on the glass. This looks like a glass of cola. In fact, it looks like a glass of cherry cola. It's very carbonated, and you can see, if I rock the beer back and forth, you can see the light, some of the light kind of bleeding through. In the corner there, in the top here, you can see it's more of a reddy hue. It's looking more like a glass of cherry Coke than a Christmas pudding stout. Okay, at this stage, I'm just going to get the aroma. So very thin looking beer. A couple of people actually reached out to me and told me who brewed this beer for Home Bargains. In fact, a few people did. And I was quite surprised when I heard of the brewery who kind of brewed these beers. That said, it's a much better aroma than the Mango number 5. This is more spicy, kind of cinnamon, peppery. There's a little bit of chocolate malt. I tell you what, it's got almost the same aroma as the beer that was in the Lidl Craft Beer Festival, October edition of 2021. October 2021, Lidl Craft Beer Festival. There was a couple of stouts put into Home Bargains. Into Lidl for their Craft Beer Festival. This has got a very, very similar aroma to those beers. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same beer. They just kind of rebatched it. Anyway, let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Thankfully, I'm gonna say it's not the worst beer in the world. Thankfully, it's tolerable. But it's still, there's a lot of strange things going on. It's really thin. It's actually drinking like cola. It's drinking like a soft drink. It's drinking like a can of cherry cola. How thin it is, how fizzy and carbonated it is on the palate there. To be fair to the beer, to be perfectly honest with you, there are some nice spice flavours coming through. It's definitely giving you that kind of Christmas pudding, spicy kind of cinnamon bun, a little bit of vanilla maybe, peppery kind of spiciness coming through, but it's way too thin. It's way too thin for a stout. There's a little bit of roasted malt coming through. There's a little bit of chocolate from the roasted malt. There's a little bit of caramel, a touch of coffee, but it's nowhere near what it should be. It should be a lot more full-bodied, robust. You should have big roasted flavours of chocolate and coffee and caramel, and then that would have worked really nicely with the cinnamon spices in the beer. The vanilla, maybe some nutmeg, that sort of thing in the beer. It would have all really worked well. And as other people have pointed out in the comments box, you can go to places like Tesco and Morrison's when they've got a deal on, and you can buy some terrific beers like Salt's Huckaback when it's on offer. You can buy cans on offer, like they do 2 4-packs for £8 sometimes, or maybe even 2 packs for £10. It works out at £1.20 a can. £1.20 a can. So it's actually working out a little bit cheaper than this, and the quality of the beer is a million miles better. A million miles better. I don't know where, on a personal level, I don't know if Home Bargains can come back from this. I don't think that, when you think of Home Bargains, I've had some wonderful beers in the past, don't get me wrong. That I've had that Baltica, that kind of Russian lager. I think I bought that in Home Bargains. I bought a big bottle of Nigerian lager. It was cheap. It was about £1.30. A big kind of bomber bottle of it. I think it was a 660 milliliter bottle of Nigerian lager. Great, quirky, interesting. Never gonna see it again in your life. Beers that I used to go to Home Bargains to pick up, but then they've gone, for whatever reason, they've gone down the route of brewing their own beers. And I say whatever reason because you don't see Home Bargains making chocolate bars, do you? You don't see them making sweets. You see branded McVitie's biscuits and chocolate bars and Cadbury's and Galaxy. You don't see Home Bargains competing and saying, we're going to make our own chocolate bar and we're going to sell our own chocolate bar. But for whatever reason, they've decided to brew their own range of beer. And for whatever reason, they've decided to do it really cheaply, and they've just not nailed it. They've just not got it right. And the problem with that is that just by reading the comments that I did for the mango number 5, people were already talking about this. They tried it, they poured it down the sink, it was terrible. This is giving off, I like the label. I like the label. It's giving off the look of a big, thick, creamy beer. The custard there going over the peppery, spicy, raisiny kind of cake. It should have been good. They've nailed the marketing. They've nailed the look of the can. That is quite inviting. But the end product is just not there. It's just not there. And even if they started again, even if they thought, right, we're going to go back to the drawing board with these beers, I don't think people will trust them enough or the brand enough to pick a beer up again from them and go, do you know what, I'm going to give them a second chance. I'm going to buy this beer in the hope that it's better. Because you won't. People will spend their money elsewhere. They'll be buying Salt's Huckaback for, you know, eight cans for £10 or, you know, £1.20 a can. They'll be buying that instead of this. Bit of a shocker, really. The more I think about it, the more it's giving me like a real kind of like slightly really fuzzy feeling on the tongue. Bit of a shame, 5.2% ABV. Could have been a whole lot better. I'm going to rate it. It's poor. It's really poor. It's a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers.